It's finally X3 time. Car's looking terrible. Yesterday we took it all apart and then cut off the standard cage, which was a lot more work than I expected. You can see I've already got the new mounting plates done. So these do come with a nice mounting plate there, but the factory cage welded to it. So once you clean that up, you can build or just bolt on, depending if you've bought a kit or whatever. Yeah, so the car is fully prepped for the new cage. So hopefully today we'll get the main tube done. I've been hesitating whether to do a radiused roof or not. I kind of like this simplicity and the sleek look of just a straight roof, but the Hulk tubing roller has kind of been just getting about an inch of dust on it over the last few months. So I figured we might as well throw a bit of a radius into it, something really small. And the one thing I'm going to do different than most of the cages we see is, like the standard cage, people usually go A-pillar over B-pillar and end with a floating C-pillar at the back, which it looks cool, but I kind of want to try something different. So we might do a one-piece from A-pillar to B-pillar with a bend down here, and then start straight off of that tube to do some sort of rear bumper tie-in. I'm not 100% sure yet. I don't have a plan. I don't have anything drawn up or measured out. I just kind of figure that'll make it a bit different from what we're used to seeing. And also, technically speaking, a one piece from A to B pillar is really the way to go. In case of like a lot of rollovers or whatever. And we've got a bunch of DOM tubing here. So the main tube that we're doing today, A pillar to B pillar, is going to be 1.75 DOM in 120 wall, which is pretty overkill for side-by-sides. Typically what people use is this, which is 1.75 OD, but in 0.095 thickness. So we're going to use that everywhere where there isn't a risk of hitting rocks, because you don't get as much dent resistance as you go down in thickness. So the main tube from here will be 120 wall, and then roof bars, gusset tubes and all that will be the 0.095. Next week I'll be doing a race car cage, which is going to be 0.95 throughout the whole thing, because the guy really doesn't want any excess weight. I'm not too worried about weight on this one, given that it's not a race car. The idea here is kind of the look that we see like at King of the Hammers and those sort of desert races, where you've got tools, you've got fire extinguishers, a spare tire, really beefed up car, high ride heights, big tires. I'm not really into the whole short course look of a low car on small tires, so yeah, I guess we'll dust off the old Hulk tubing roller and start working on those tubes. We'll probably take that outside, because with the GM pickup truck here, there's no room left inside. So if you've ever done cages and used a roller, you'll see that this is really the harder to figure out part, because I'm not sure how much of a radius I want. I'm not working off of a plan for a cage, so I'm just sort of eyeballing how long I want the windshield to be, as well as the overall height that I want for the cage. It's going to be a fair bit lower than the factory cage, but without going too nuts. Like, I've seen guys go like really low and even drop the seats. I want to keep it kind of convenient. I'm about 5'11", and I like how the seat feels as is, so I don't want to have to drop it. So the overall height of the factory cage, I think, is give or take 12 to 13 inches over the mounting plates. So far I'm planning on being in the range of 8 inches. So we'll be like 4 or 5 inches lower. So, as you guys can probably see, I need to make a stand for that thing. God, that sucked. The wheel's just off the ground enough that even though it's locked, it was just flopping away. So, this is the windshield area. So it's straight for about 32 inches. And then we've got about 32 inches of radius for the roof. And then what's going to become our B-pillar at this end. So you can hardly see, I mean, you can kind of see it. See the radius in there? So that's going to be the slight arc to our roof line. Really minimalistic, a lot less than stock. Actually, the cage is over here, so you can see that one's got a lot more radius to it. We're all set up in the old JD squared. This is a Model 32. Got the big 1.75 die at a 6.5 inch diameter, or radius, sorry. So this is definitely not a tutorial on cage building or even tube bending or rolling. I'm really on a tight time constraint here. I don't really have time to be doing this cage. So I'm trying to just knock it out really fast. So technically, you definitely take the time to sketch this out and see where you need the bends, where you want clearance for helmets and all that. I'm pretty confident just going off the top of my head like this, but not necessarily a guide to follow into making your own cage. So we're going to go with that. This is going to be the B pillar, and then the slight radius on the roof line. Probably see that there. So now we've got to figure out where to bend down A pillar into the slope or the angle we want for the windshield. I think we might just finish this first tube and then do everything over with the second. But yeah, I think the angle I gave it there is going to give plenty of clearance for helmets as you get in. It's got to be trimmed down, obviously, at this end. I left a bit of excess so that I can sort of play with how high I want the roof to end up being. I think it's going to look funny as just a cage from A to B, but once we do that rear bumper tie-in, which is going to start off the roof line too, it's going to have that same fastback look all the way down as most of the X3 cages do. It's just from a structural standpoint or a fabrication standpoint, having this tube be one piece is really going to make it for a good cage. And given that I don't plan on being careful with this car, I kind of want to be as safe as possible with it, so that's what we're going to do. Obviously the front has to come way down, and actually the back has to come down too, but you get the idea. The overall shape of it is there. You can see by the fitting here that it's got to come down and even slant back a little, so I could have angled it a bit less, but we can correct that by dropping the rear. And I've checked that with my helmet, if I can have 3 to 4 inches over the top of the headrest, I'm plenty safe clearance-wise for tubing up there. So I think we can drop like a solid 2 or 3 inches on this, which will get that look that we're after, bring us forwards a bit, correct that angle, and then we'll start trimming this down to just get this looking a bit less goofy. It's way too tall right now. The first shot at trimming it, the snorkels are like just over the roof line, which I think is pretty cool. Like, it's not low to a point that's going to be tough to get in and out of, or at least I don't think so. But it's getting that sleek look. I might drop the front a bit more at this point. And we can sort of see a bit of the radius on the roof. I'm starting to think I could have rolled it a bit more, but it's getting there. I think this is going to look cool. Here's a look at them both tacked in now. Have them both exactly the same. Next step, we're going to do the upper windshield bar there, which is going to dictate how far apart they're going to go. I've put them pretty much level right now, and I was comparing to the stock cage, and I want to bring them in just a bit, like a 1/4 of an inch on each side. And then the upper B-pillar roof bar, if you could call it that, the rearmost roof bar, is going to be a bit more work because we did this slope, well, this bend down to B-pillar. We need that bar to go straight out back to clearance helmets. So I don't want to be running it straight overhead like this. So we're going to do 2 probably 45-degree bends back as wide as possible to get it out sort of in line with this, and then notch it and set the height of it. So the 2 roof bars are in. Sort of see these here. Front one is just straight. Back one is bent back at both ends. So if I can get up there. So the idea behind that is that it clears the back of the headrest by quite a bit, just in case. So there's a tube missing there, which we're going to have to roll to match this, which, to be fair, doesn't even look like it is rolled. So tomorrow, or I don't know if I'll work on this tomorrow, but the gusset tubes here have to be added on both sides, so I'll bring them down as far as possible. Might even trim this plastic to make it tucked down as close to the base plate as possible, and then go out, I don't know, about 15 inches that way, hopefully. I was planning on just tacking this cage together with MIG and then welding the whole thing with TIG, and as I was just making sure everything was square, I just ended up starting to weld, so it's kind of looking like this one might be MIG-welded. I've got the Trio Performance, whatever their sports exhaust is. I want to change that to have a side exit exhaust to get rid of this whole piece and maybe even trim the bed, because ideally I want a big 33-inch spare back here while still keeping the storage space from the bed with the pack-out mount. So we're back. It's 2 days later. I didn't have much time to work on this thing yesterday, so I pretty much just got it turned around to get it out of the way and started working on the rear bumper tie-in slash B to C pillar tubes. So I've got the passenger side here, bunch of weird bends, 3 different bends, notch that I sort of started with the notcher and then had to work a bunch with the grinder to get it to fit properly. Since it's notching onto a bend, if you guys have ever tried that, you'd see that it's really not a single radius notch. So it can be helpful to start it with a notcher, but really you might as well just mark it out and do it by hand. Also got the TMR quick release fire extinguisher mount, but I want to find some spot somewhere to mount that to. I'm just worried if I put it somewhere like this, the first tree that runs over it is going to tear it off or bend something, so we'll see about that. Maybe mount it on the patch-out plate, something like that. I don't know. not bad. So it looks a bit different. So we've got the fitting here, we don't on that side, but yeah. So here's my template tube for the 45-degree bend. So I plan on leaving from that, sort of in that direction-ish, with the constraint of having to fit the tire back there. So we'll see how we deal with all this. We might have to bend this guy more or less at an angle, I'm not sure. I just set this plate on the CNC, which is still really hot, which will bolt onto this. This is just 1/4-inch steel, so plenty strong enough. And to tie onto that, we've got these 2 scraps of DOM at a 45-degree cut, which we'll just weld onto there, which will be like sleeves around the bolt, allowing for our next tubes to notch onto that. So this is what we're at so far. I'm doing the 3rd bend for this one section. These 2 are in line, and then this one, we're about 19.5 degrees down to try to get that line out towards the, because we're sort of running a constant up here, and then from here we need it to dart over to the left. So a lot of this is just eyeballing it. I do use that angle cube a whole lot, and then there's this guy, the big angle finder. So if you're trying to do one of these 2 tools are really the way to go. Well, that tube has been a pain. I've had to rework it, unbend it, recut it, and after all that, I'm not even sure if it's going to be enough room for this bear. So, not my best work. So if we manage to trim that back, yeah, there's room there, but once the other one is here, come on. Yeah, we're looking at a 30-inch tire, maybe 31, so I might have to like tilt the tire forwards, which means I can't put my cooler and full back there. So that might not work for a spare at all. Here's a look at what I came up with. I did a quick rattle cam job when I finished up yesterday, because the bumper's kind of done for now. So I wanted to see what it would look like. We're going for a super flat black, got the little maple leaf there. I like putting that in. And the bumper is straight. It's really that trio exhaust that's not centered anywhere, so sort of just hanging off to the side there. I've got an actual race car coming in tomorrow for several weeks of work, so I kind of want to just get this thing at least done for this phase. We did do the little gusset tubes yesterday too, on both sides. Here's the roof bar I put in. I've kind of welded it in already. Looks good. Had to do some sketchy maneuvers to get up there and weld this thing. So there's only the bottom side left to do. But I'm really pleased with that. I think it's simple. These 3 tubes are 0.95 thick 1.75 tubing, as well as these guys. So really the only 120 wall right now is the main beam here, A to B pillar. And then we've got some in the bumper, everything that's at risk of taking a hit. So these guys are 0.95 too, but those are 1.5 diameter. I think they look good. I would have liked to make them a bit longer, but the notch here was already at the limit that my little notch master thing can do. I could have notched them out by hand, but you know, these are plenty strong, and I just kind of wanted to get them done, so I'm pleased with that. This is the last tube for sort of phase 1 of this cage. Roof bars are welded in. Well, not all welded in, but the top's welded. Those gusset tubes are there, they're looking good. I really like having the snorkel stick up just over the roof line. I think that'll pretty much be it for this video. It's been going on over like a week and a half, so sorry for the repetitiveness. I guess I'm saying the same stuff over and over. I'll try to edit some of that out. I do the anti-intrusion bars, like I said earlier. We're doing the A-pillar support tube down to the chassis. Might do a chassis brace bar there as well, because I know that's kind of a weak point if you hit something strong from the front. Between these 2 tubes, there's going to be a tube here too, just linking them up and making sure everything is tied together. Also, if you guys want to see more of the hand notching like what we did here, I know I sort of didn't really talk about that because I just had to get it done quickly, but if that's something you guys want to see more of, not just using the notcher, but figuring out a notch by hand and how to do that, then let me know. We'll try to do some more of that this winter. The cold weather is pretty much here. We've had some snow recently, so there won't be that many wheeling videos, although I do still have a few to work through and post. As I was editing this video yesterday and wrapping it up, I realized I really hadn't filmed a way to end it, so I figure I'll give you guys a look at the product as it sits for now. So a couple things I want to add on to it in the future. I've sort of gone over that a bit earlier in the video. But here's how it looks for now. I took it. So the rear bumper ended up looking just like the Turbo S rear bumper tie-in I did last winter. You'll be seeing more of that setup soon because my customer actually had a pretty bad wreck in it a couple months back, and we're just now getting all the parts to rebuild it. But yeah, I think it fits the car well. It doesn't actually fit a spare like I wanted to, so that's too bad. We're going to be changing that exhaust. That's the Trio Performance exhaust. It sounds great. I do genuinely like it. It's just I want to do a side exit short thing here, still having an exhaust on it, but really freeing up this rear space to get rid of the cover and maybe do pack out tool chest back there, or some sort of a bigger ammo crate to be able to put some recovery gear and tools and stuff in. quick rattle can paint job, nice matte black. It looks like crap right now because it's all filthy, but overall, also there's the lower windshield bar I added, and that roof bar you guys saw just before, little factory rear view mount. That was easy. We're gonna add some tabs to put some fog lights next to the little half windshield. I kind of want to keep this. I want to get a clear one too though, because you really don't see much out of the black one. And it's looking good on the 33-inch, whatever they are, EFX tires. Yeah, so that's the final look at what I came up with for now. We'll be working on it a bit more in the future. I'm starting to work on some adjustable radius rods for these things too, which are going to be available on the Knowlton Fabrication site. The cages are going to stay custom built for now, so kind of only locally offered since I need the car to build them. But yeah, other than that, this is pretty much how it's going to look for now. Maybe some minor changes over the winter, but really it's good enough that I can go and enjoy it for some winter wheeling and get ready for next summer with it, as we also rebuild the Jeep's front end soon because that front axle's bent. So we'll see about that in another video. So if you like what you see here, please like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. This is a fairly new channel. We're trying to get it to grow and get some more projects going with it. So I appreciate you guys watching, and see you next time.